Have you ever found yourself questioning reality after a conversation with someone? Have you walked away from an interaction feeling drained, confused, or somehow smaller than when you entered? Perhaps you've noticed how certain people seem to have an uncanny ability to twist your words, make you doubt your own memory, or leave you feeling guilty for things you never even did. What if I told you that this is not accidental? What if I told you that there are people who have mastered the art of psychological manipulation so thoroughly that they can reshape your thoughts without you even realizing it's happening? The most dangerous manipulators are not the ones who scream and threaten. They are not the obvious bullies who announce their intentions. The truly dangerous ones are the ones who smile while they destroy you. They are the ones who make you feel like you are losing your mind while they maintain the perfect facade of concern. They operate in shadows, in subtleties, in the spaces between what is said and what is meant. And they are everywhere. In your workplace, in your family, in your relationships, hiding behind masks of charm and false empathy. But what if you could see through these masks? What if you could recognize their tactics before they take hold? What if you could protect yourself without ever having to engage in their games? This video is not about becoming like them. It is not about learning to manipulate others. It is about something far more powerful. It is about becoming immune to their influence, while they never even suspect that you have figured them out. It is about outsmarting them quietly, strategically, completely. Today, you will learn the psychological tactics that will make you invisible to manipulators. You will discover how to protect your mind while appearing completely open. You will understand how to turn their own weapons against them without them ever knowing what happened. By the end of this journey, you will no longer be prey. You will be something they cannot touch, cannot control, cannot break. And the most beautiful part? They will never see it coming. The first truth you must understand is this: manipulators are not as clever as they think they are. They operate from a playbook that has remained unchanged for centuries. They rely on predictable human responses, on emotional triggers, on psychological vulnerabilities that most people never learn to guard. But once you understand their methods, once you see the patterns, they become as transparent as glass. Their power evaporates the moment you stop reacting the way they expect you to react. Think about the last time someone tried to make you feel guilty for setting a boundary. Remember how they twisted your reasonable request into evidence of your selfishness? Recall how they made you question whether you were being too harsh, too demanding, too unreasonable. This is not coincidence. This is strategy. They know exactly which buttons to press because most people have the same buttons. Most people respond to guilt the same way. Most people crumble under the same pressures. But you are not going to be most people anymore. You are going to become something else entirely. Someone who sees the game while pretending to be unaware of it. Someone who protects their energy while appearing generous. Someone who maintains control while seeming completely relaxed. This is the art of psychological invisibility, and it begins with understanding that the greatest strength is the strength that never announces itself. The manipulator's first weapon is confusion. They excel at making simple situations complicated, clear conversations murky, straightforward requests into emotional minefields. They do this because confusion creates dependence. When you cannot trust your own perception of reality, you begin to rely on theirs. When you cannot make sense of what is happening, you look to them for clarity. And once you do that, they have you exactly where they want you. Watch how they do this. They will tell you one thing on Monday and the complete opposite on Wednesday. Then act shocked when you point out the contradiction. They will promise something important, then later claim they never said it, making you question your own memory. They will create problems that only they can solve, then position themselves as your savior. They will ask for your opinion, then systematically tear it apart while maintaining that they value your input. The key to defeating this tactic is documentation, but not the kind they can see. Keep a mental record of their patterns. Notice how they shift the conversation when cornered. Observe how they deflect responsibility. Watch how they turn every discussion about their behavior into a discussion about your reaction to their behavior. Once you see the pattern, you can predict their moves 3 steps ahead. And when you can predict their moves, you can choose not to play. But documentation alone is not enough. The real power comes from emotional detachment. This does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means learning to observe their tactics with the same clinical interest you might observe an interesting insect under a microscope. You are no longer emotionally invested in changing them, convincing them, or making them see reason. You are simply studying a fascinating specimen of human dysfunction. This shift in perspective is revolutionary because it removes you from their playing field entirely. They cannot manipulate someone who is not emotionally engaged with their drama. They cannot control someone who treats their tantrums like weather patterns, natural phenomena to be observed and weathered, but not taken personally. When you achieve this level of detachment, you become untouchable. The second weapon in their arsenal is urgency. Manipulators hate giving you time to think because thinking is their enemy. They will create false deadlines, manufacture crises, and insist that decisions must be made immediately. They will tell you that waiting means missing out, that hesitation means weakness, that thinking it over means you do not trust them. All of this is designed to bypass your rational mind and trigger your emotional responses. The antidote to urgency is slowness. Not the slowness of indecision, but the deliberate slowness of someone who refuses to be rushed into anything. When they say it must be decided now, you say you need time to consider all the implications. When they create a crisis, you respond with calm, methodical problem solving. When they try to rush you, you become immovable. This will frustrate them immensely because urgency is one of their most reliable tools. They are used to people panicking under pressure, making poor decisions when rushed, agreeing to things they would never accept if given time to think. But you are no longer going to be that person. You are going to be someone who cannot be hurried, cannot be pressured, cannot be rushed into anything that does not serve your best interests. The third weapon they use is isolation. They will systematically work to separate you from your support systems, your friends, your family, anyone who might offer you perspective or validation. They do this slowly, carefully, often disguised as concern for your well-being. They will point out flaws in the people you trust. They will create conflicts between you and others. They will position themselves as the only person who truly understands you, who truly cares about you, who truly has your best interests at heart. This is perhaps their most insidious tactic because it works on your fundamental human need for connection. We are social creatures, and the threat of abandonment triggers our deepest fears. But here is what they do not want you to know. Their version of connection is not connection at all. It is possession. It is control disguised as love. Dominance masquerading as care. The way to counter this is to maintain your connections despite their objections. When they criticize your friends, you listen politely but continue the friendship. When they create drama with your family, you refuse to take sides but maintain your relationships. When they position themselves as your only true ally, you smile and nod while quietly maintaining your independence. Remember, a healthy relationship enhances your other relationships. It does not replace them. Someone who truly cares about you wants you to have a rich, full life surrounded by people who support you. Someone who wants to isolate you wants to control you. The difference is clear once you know what to look for. The fourth weapon they wield is guilt, and they have perfected its use into an art form. They will make you feel responsible for their emotions, their failures, their unhappiness. They will tell you that your boundaries hurt them, that your success makes them feel inadequate, that your happiness somehow diminishes theirs. They will twist every act of self-care into an act of selfishness, every moment of joy into evidence of your insensitivity to their pain. But here is the truth they never want you to discover. You are not responsible for managing anyone else's emotional state. You are not required to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. The guilt they project onto you belongs to them, not to you. And the moment you truly understand this, their power over you begins to crumble. When they attempt to guilt you into compliance, you respond with what I call compassionate deflection. You acknowledge their feelings without accepting responsibility for them. You express empathy without changing your position. You might say something like, "I understand this is difficult for you," and then you continue with your original plan. You do not argue. You do not justify. You do not explain why they should not feel that way. You simply acknowledge and move forward. This approach is devastating to manipulators because it removes the emotional charge from their weapon. Guilt only works when you accept it as yours to carry. When you refuse to pick up guilt that does not belong to you, they are left holding it alone. And most manipulators cannot bear the weight of their own emotional responsibility. The fifth weapon in their arsenal is intermittent reinforcement, though they may not even realize they are using it. This is the psychological principle behind gambling addiction, and it is perhaps the most powerful tool for creating emotional dependence. They will alternate between kindness and cruelty, affection and rejection, praise and criticism, in unpredictable patterns. Just when you are about to give up on them entirely, they will show you a glimpse of the person you thought they were. This creates a trauma bond that is incredibly difficult to break because your brain becomes addicted to the relief of their occasional kindness. You begin to crave those moments when they are pleasant, when they seem to care, when they act like the person you hoped they could be. You start to believe that if you could just figure out the right combination of words or actions, you could bring out that good side more consistently. But this is an illusion. The kindness is not genuine. It is strategic. The pleasant moments are not rewards for your good behavior. They are bait to keep you engaged. The person you fell in love with, befriended, or trusted was never real. It was a mask designed to draw you in. The cruelty that follows is not an aberration. It is the true face behind the mask. To protect yourself from this weapon, you must learn to see their behavior as a whole pattern rather than individual incidents. Do not judge them by their best moments or their worst moments alone. Look at the overall trajectory of your relationship with them. Are you happier or more anxious since they entered your life? Do you feel more confident or more uncertain about yourself? Are your other relationships stronger or weaker since you began associating with them? The answers to these questions will tell you everything you need to know about their true impact on your life. And once you see the pattern clearly, you cannot unsee it. The spell of intermittent reinforcement breaks the moment you stop hoping for consistency from someone who has shown you they are fundamentally inconsistent. The sixth weapon they use is projection, and it is perhaps the most revealing of all their tactics. They will accuse you of the very behaviors they engage in. The cheater will accuse you of infidelity. The liar will question your honesty. The manipulator will claim you are trying to control them. This is not random. It is a psychological defense mechanism that allows them to avoid confronting their own darkness by casting it onto you. When someone consistently projects their shadow onto you, pay attention. They are giving you a roadmap to their own psychological landscape. They are telling you exactly what they are capable of, exactly what they fear being caught doing, exactly what they struggle with internally. This information is incredibly valuable because it allows you to predict their behavior and protect yourself accordingly. Do not waste energy trying to defend yourself against their projections. Do not attempt to prove your innocence or convince them of their error. Simply observe what they reveal about themselves and adjust your level of trust accordingly. Someone who projects dishonesty onto you is telling you they cannot be trusted. Someone who accuses you of manipulation is warning you that they are manipulative. Listen to what they are really telling you. The seventh and perhaps most sophisticated weapon they employ is gaslighting, the systematic erosion of your trust in your own perceptions, memories, and judgment. They will deny conversations that happened, rewrite history to cast themselves in a better light, and make you question your own sanity. They do this gradually, subtly, so that you do not notice your reality being reshaped until you are completely dependent on their version of events. Gaslighting works because it exploits a fundamental truth about human psychology. We are all capable of making mistakes, forgetting details, or misremembering events. The gaslighter takes this natural uncertainty and weaponizes it, making you doubt not just specific memories, but your entire capacity for accurate perception. The defense against gaslighting requires you to become your own witness. Trust your initial impressions. Document important conversations, either mentally or literally. Pay attention to how you feel during and after interactions with them. Your emotional responses are often more accurate than your analytical mind when it comes to detecting manipulation. When they tell you something did not happen the way you remember it, do not automatically assume you are wrong. When they claim they never said something you clearly remember, do not immediately doubt your memory. When they insist your emotional reaction is unreasonable, do not automatically accept their judgment of your feelings. Your perceptions may not always be perfect, but they are yours. And someone who consistently undermines your trust in your own experience is not someone who has your best interests at heart. They are someone who benefits from your confusion, your self-doubt, your dependence on their interpretation of reality. But now comes the most crucial part of this entire process. Learning not just to recognize these weapons, but to render yourself immune to them while appearing completely vulnerable. This is where the real mastery lies, and it requires a level of psychological sophistication that most people never develop. The art of appearing vulnerable while being invincible is perhaps the most advanced psychological skill you can develop. It requires you to master the delicate balance between openness and protection, between engagement and detachment. To the manipulator, you must seem like the perfect target. Someone who cares deeply, someone who can be moved by emotion, someone who wants to help and please others. But beneath this carefully constructed exterior, you remain completely untouchable. This is not about becoming fake or deceptive. This is about strategic presentation. Think of it as wearing emotional armor that looks like silk. You appear soft and approachable while being internally unbreakable. You seem to care about their opinions while being completely unmoved by their approval or disapproval. You appear to be listening to their advice while following only your own inner compass. The key to this mastery lies in understanding that you can acknowledge their words without accepting their reality. When they try to guilt you, you can say, "I can see this is important to you," without changing your position. When they attempt to confuse you, you can respond with, "That's an interesting perspective," while maintaining complete clarity about the truth. When they project their darkness onto you, you can offer, "I'm sorry you're experiencing that," without taking on their emotional burden. This approach is devastatingly effective because it gives them nothing to push against. They cannot argue with acknowledgement. They cannot manipulate someone who validates their feelings without accepting responsibility for them. They cannot control someone who appears to be listening while remaining completely autonomous in their decisions. Watch how this frustrates them. They will escalate their tactics when their usual methods fail to produce the desired response. They will become more obvious in their manipulation attempts. They will push harder, speak louder, become more dramatic. This is actually a sign that your defense is working. They are revealing their true nature because their subtle methods are no longer effective. But here is where most people make a critical error. They interpret this escalation as evidence that their approach is not working. So they return to their old patterns of reaction and engagement. Do not make this mistake. The escalation is proof that you are winning. Stay the course, maintain your position. Continue to appear engaged while remaining internally detached. The manipulator's greatest fear is irrelevance. They need your emotional energy to survive. They require your reactions to feel powerful. They depend on your investment in their drama to maintain their sense of control. When you stop feeding these needs while appearing to still care, you create a psychological trap that they cannot escape. They will try new tactics. They will switch between different personas. They will attempt to find the button that still works. But if you have truly mastered this art, there are no buttons left for them to press. You have become like water. You appear to yield while remaining unchanged. You seem to flow around obstacles while maintaining your essential nature. This level of psychological sophistication requires practice. Start small. Choose low-stakes interactions to test these principles. Notice how people respond when you acknowledge without agreeing, when you validate without complying, when you appear open while remaining protected. Pay attention to how your own stress levels change when you stop fighting battles you cannot win and start operating from a position of true strength. The manipulator operates from weakness disguised as strength. They need to control others because they cannot control themselves. They need to diminish others because they feel diminished internally. They need to create chaos because they are chaotic inside. Understanding this is crucial because it helps you see that their attacks on you are not really about you at all. They are about their own internal struggles projected outward. This realization is liberating because it means you can stop taking their behavior personally. You can stop trying to understand why they treat you poorly or what you did to deserve it. Their treatment of you has nothing to do with your worth and everything to do with their wounds. This does not excuse their behavior, but it does free you from the burden of trying to fix what you did not break. When you truly grasp this concept, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel genuine compassion for them while maintaining complete protection from them. You can see their pain without absorbing it. You can recognize their suffering without trying to heal it. You can acknowledge their humanity without sacrificing your own well-being. This compassionate detachment is perhaps the most powerful position you can occupy because it removes you from their battlefield entirely. You are no longer fighting them. You are observing them. You are no longer trying to change them. You are simply protecting yourself from them. You are no longer engaged in their drama. You are watching it from a safe distance. You now possess something they can never take from you: the ability to see clearly while others remain blind. You understand their playbook while they believe you are still playing their game. You have learned to protect your mind while appearing completely open, to maintain your power while seeming vulnerable, to win every battle without them ever realizing a war was being fought. This is not about becoming like them. It is about becoming immune to them. And now that you know these truths, you can never unknow them. The masks have fallen away, the patterns are visible, and you are finally free.